Hi, my name is Dave Hammer. I'm the scholarship officer at the Dual Superior Area Community Foundation, and I am excited to talk to you, along with Patty Salo Downs, about scholarship opportunities in our area. I'm going to pass it on to Patty while I set up the PowerPoint.
And I'm Patty Salo Downs, and I'm with the Marshall H. and Nellie Alworth Memorial Fund Scholarship Foundation. And we give away $2 million each year to our students, and we fund about 240 students. This is a math and science-based scholarship. You need to be majoring in those types of fields, but each spring we award between 60 and 70 students out of a candidate pool of about 180 students who apply. So it's a regional scholarship, and I'm excited to tell you more about it.
So again, there's my information. I am happy to give away money for a living. It's a cool job that I have, and we want you to be a part of that.
So what is a scholarship? It's free money. Loans are plentiful to help you pay for school, but you don't need to go there because we have an area that we cover in our region that is plentiful and rich with scholarships. People believe in education and want to support others' future by offering them money to help them pay for school. So you don't want to be the student after 4 years with a debt load of $31,000 or more. It takes a while to pay that back, and there's a lot of limitations to having that kind of debt load upon graduation. We have students who graduate with little to no debt that we fund because they've worked the scholarship money train, and that's what I'm going to call it, because beyond our scholarships, there are thousands of other scholarships available to students in our region, and we really want you to know about those opportunities as well as how to go about applying for them.
So again, a little bit more about why you want to win a scholarship. These are quotes that students that have received my scholarships or Patty's scholarships have given us. Why you should want to win a scholarship. But I have a lot of schools, a lot of recipients that say, I studied abroad. I went to China, or I went to Chile, or I went to France to study abroad, and they were able to do that because of their scholarship opportunities. Another bunch of people say that they could go to their #1 choice of school, even though it was kind of pricey, because of the scholarship they were received. I got another school student who last year, he was in his biology club, I think at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And that biology club they grew a lung, like one of these things here in your chest. They grew one of those. And I know that student's planning to go to medical school, and he's going to be able to write on his medical school application, I grew a lung. Other students are doing cool internships. Other students are doing cool research projects. And now that happens because they don't have to work a part-time job during college because they want a scholarship.
The other advantage of having scholarships is, let's say you're going off to college, you know you want a bachelor's degree, but you may not necessarily know what major you want to put your time and energy into. So you have a little bit more flexibility to explore. And even in the math and science field, sometimes our students say, I'm not exactly sure where it is I want to hang my hat, but I know it's something in math and science. So they're able to, navigate and have some fun figuring that out while in college without having to worry about how am I going to pay for school and will this extend my time in college. A real benefit of being selected for some of these top scholarships is that we have the opportunity to feel, gosh, I won, I got a scholarship. These people believe in me, they believe in my future, and they want to support me, and they've recognized the hard work that I've accomplished over the past 4 years.
I want to jump back a second, and I should have said this 5 minutes ago, but we're talking college. We're using the word college pretty generally, but it is anything after high school. So whether you're going to go for a diploma or a certificate for 6 months or a year, or whether you're going for a 2-year associate's degree or a 4-year bachelor's degree, there are scholarships out there for everyone. So please, please don't tune out if you're thinking that this is not the opportunity for me. There's something out there for everyone. So keep listening as we move through our program here.
So the Alworth Scholarship was established in 1949, and Mr. Alworth, he loved math and science. He loved research, he loved medicine. And so those are the subject areas that this scholarship is dedicated to. He also wanted to see students with financial need be funded. He saw far too many students having to drop out of school because they couldn't pay for it, and he wanted to help bridge that gap so that these students could go on and prepare for careers that would be of benefit to humanity. So this is a merit academic focused scholarship. Not all scholarships have specific criteria like the Alworth does. But here's a little overview. We needed 25 or higher on the ACT test. And if you have not yet taken the ACT, we encourage you to take it. You have December and February test opportunities, even though our deadlines are January 15th for each of our scholarships. You need to know that your test scores can catch up with your application upon receiving them. And then 3.5 GPA or higher, you need to be have demonstrated qualities of character, perseverance, and ambition. Those are the qualities that help Mr. Alworth become a wealthy man, a successful man. And taxable income, we use the IRS 1040 for determining the limitation, and that needs to be less than $125,000 taxable income. Taxable income is the operative word. It's not gross, it's not adjusted gross, it's taxable. And then of course we require one letter of recommendation. Most scholarships require that, but we want one from a math and science teacher specifically because this is a math science focused scholarship.
All right, so Patty, you can see there awards 70 scholarships, and they all run on that set of criteria. That's different from the Community Foundation. At the Community Foundation, we have 70 different scholarships, and each one has its own different unique criteria. I've created a bunch of different grids based on where people live or where they're going to school. And the first job for you is to figure out what grid you want to look at. This is the grid for Iron Range students, or this is page 1 of the grid for Iron Range students. I got 2 grids out there. This is page 1 of the grid for Carleton County students. But in other words, find the grid that you need to do. They are all out on our website. The link there is at the bottom. And find the grid that you want to look at, and then start through it row by row, column by column to see which scholarships you potentially could apply for. So look at the top one on the list. You're a high school senior, maybe you have a GPA of 3.0, you're probably a St. Louis County resident, or maybe not. And then over at the right column, you have Jewish or Catholic. Maybe that's going to knock out some people. So this is the kind of thing that you need to do row by row, column by column through this different grid. And then eventually you will get some scholarships that you can apply for. That is the first way I recommend that people do this process. There is also a secondary option to figure out what scholarships you can apply for. That is the eligibility quiz. Get to that website again, and then start an application. Find the Apply Now button, click on that, and eventually you're going to be thrown into the eligibility quiz. That's 25 questions about who you are and your plans for the future, and based on those answers, the computer will kind of sort and filter scholarships and give you a list of scholarships that you can apply for. I recommend doing both because maybe you'll find something on the grid that's not coming up on your eligibility quiz, and I wouldn't want the filter or whatever to not work for you and not produce a scholarship that you can apply for. So once you've found the different scholarships that you can apply for, then you need to apply.
And so what's involved? Okay, the applications are pretty standard and straightforward. Most often they'll be looking at academics and test scores, but not always. There are scholarships that don't require that information. They might look more for volunteerism, they might look more for leadership. It just depends on who set up the scholarship and what criteria that they deem most important. Activities, awards, and leaderships, recommendations, those are the letters that you ask your teachers and employers to write. The big chunk of time that you will spend on any scholarship application is the essays. And so these are written statements responding to questions. And we have 4 questions on our application. the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation has also written section, but they're also requiring a video this year, and David will tell you a little bit more about that later. And then there's always the financial need component, but not always. Some scholarships, they don't have any limitations in that arena. So when you're looking at the world of scholarships, it's from A to Z. There are so many variables and variations. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm not scholarship material, that's only for the top students. That's not true. There are scholarships for almost any type of student and pursuit beyond high school, and the job is to find them. And there are ways you can do that, and we'll share that in a bit. Academics, the one thing we do at our foundation, both David and I, is we contact the schools and we ask for the transcripts of the students who have applied. And so you don't have to worry about that, but some scholarships will actually ask you to send your transcript. So you'll have to arrange to have those sent over. We will require the ACT. I know it's been tough to get into a testing date, but December and February still available, and those test scores can catch up with your application as long as it's been received in our office by the deadline, which is January 15th.
The Community Foundation, we are not making the ACT hardcore absolutely required, but it is encouraged, especially for the more academic scholarships that we have. But many of the scholarships are not necessarily academic, so there's a little bit of flexibility this year. Next thing on the application that we're going to be asking for is a list of activities, volunteering, work, awards. It's actually probably 4 sections of the different of the application. And we really, really want to urge you to be thorough in this section. We want to make sure that you get it all out there. Some people kind of say, I don't want to be that guy that's bragging or whatever. Don't think that way. This is important that you put it all out there and let us know how you've been spending your time. Whether that's shoveling your neighbor's walk or serving dinner at a church or picking up garbage on the side of the road or some athletic activity, whatever it is, make sure that we know about it. And the reason why, or a reason why, is people will write letters of recommendation for you. And the letters of recommendation might say, Mary was the captain of the golf team. Well, you need to tell us that you were in the golf program. If there's a disconnect between your completing the section and not writing golf and the letter recommendation writers writing golf, then the committee says, what? And you don't want that what moment on your application. You want everything to be yes, oh, yes, 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 yes. For the committee reviewer, you want all those to be yeses, no question marks, no things like that. So by all means, make sure your activities list, your volunteering work lists are all complete.
Yes, I agree. I concur. Letters of recommendation. We have a process at each of our foundations where you list the name of the teacher and email address on your application. But before you do that, you need to ask them. If you don't ask them first, and the first ask is that email from our foundations, that is a very backwards way to approach asking someone to write good things about you. And the other thing you want to do is ask now. Teachers need time to write letters of recommendation. And so if you ask them on January 13th and our deadline is January 15th, you're not going to get a good letter of recommendation. And I've had teachers contact me and tell me that. So you don't want to be the last minute asker because you won't get a good letter. And the other thing you need to tell your teachers is that this is a character reference. This is not a list of your activities. I mean, certainly they can reference something that perhaps they were the coach for and how you showed up and what your leadership roles were and how the success of those activities were for you. But we're looking to know, how is it that you show up every day? What kind of student are you in the classroom and outside of the classroom? And perhaps even why would they invest their own money into your education? We really rely on good letters of recommendation so that we get another perspective on you as a student. And so be sure you ask someone who's going to do a good job for you, and tell your true story. Sometimes they can talk about the improvements you've made since 9th grade as a student, and that is always something impressive for the committees to learn about.
Next thing we're talking about here is essays, and essays are a super important part of almost every single scholarship application, whether it's ours or whatever. There's essays are the vote getter, the tiebreaker for a lot of committee members. So since they're so important, I want to encourage you to write a great one. Put some real effort into this part of the process. We have half a dozen questions. We're not putting all the questions out here in this video, but dig into our applications, find those questions, give that some thought, and talk it up with some other people, brainstorm with some other people, and get some good ideas for the answers for those questions. And then start writing. Write a draft, and then most important, get it proofed. Get it proofed. Get it proofed. Committee members, it's kind of hard to say, but need to split hairs. They need to find out yes pile and no pile. And if your essay has grammatical errors or misspellings or whatever it is, it's more likely to find its way to the no pile. So by all means, get it proofed. Talk to that aunt who can really write or reads a lot, or talk to your English teacher or your guidance counselor or whomever and ask them to proofread your essay. This year as well, the Community Foundation is asking for a video from all applicants. We're looking for 2 to 3 minutes, and we want a good 2 or 3 minutes. There's 2 questions out there. You choose between the 2 questions and then answer it on a video. Write a script, practice it a couple times, and then sit down and give us your best stuff. 2 minutes, 3 minutes is short, so make sure you figure out what you want to say before you sit down.
When it comes to essay questions, oftentimes there's like 2 or 3 parts to a question. So please answer all parts. I know the trend has been to, on the challenge question that we asked, tell us about a challenge and what did you learn from this experience? Oh, the challenge will certainly be thoroughly discussed, but what did you learn from that experience? How will that help you in future success in your college and work world? So be sure to look at those questions and answer each part. David has the 3rd bullet point there. That's a 3-part question, so that's really important. And the essay questions, we want you to come from your heart, your soul. It's not what you think the committee wants to hear. It's who you are, the real person. Why are you spending 4 years in college? Why do you want to go 2 years and get an associate's degree? How do you want to help others or serve in a particular field? What is your dream? Yeah, it's about you, and don't be shy. And if you're struggling with how to, put that on paper, talk to people, get some feedback. Teachers know you well. They could give you some ideas for how to position yourself in these essays. It's a critical part of the application process. The committee is looking to get to know you and know you well. And here's your opportunity to tell them more about you.
So continuing on that proofing idea, one of Patty's questions is, why should you be selected for this scholarship? And I'm a hard worker is a lame answer. I'm a hard worker, I'm a hard worker, I'm a hard worker. If everybody's a hard worker, there's no division that can be made, distinction that can be made between the different people. So it's kind of a lame answer. But on that same idea, if you write, I'm a hard worker, and you haven't capitalized the I, go into the no pile. Be careful about that. Please make sure it's proofread well. If you're bored writing your essay, people will be bored reading it. So by all means, give us something great.
Yeah, and don't procrastinate. Start now. I mean, after you listen to this presentation, get on those questions and start writing drafts. And it's a process, and it will take time, and it will take the most time of the entire application process is working on those essays. Financial
Well, once you've got a good essay, you can recycle it.
That's true. Yeah, once you put in the effort in our scholarships, you've got a lot of material that you can cut and paste and recycle. The financial need documents that we require is the 1040 IRS. 2019 is due on January 15th, the deadline of the scholarship application. If there has been a change in income between 2019 and 2020, we will accept 2020 as long as it's in our office by early March. And the $125,000 is for taxable income. So be sure to work with your parents on determining whether or not you meet that criteria.
So for the Community Foundation, we do financial need documentation a little bit differently. We're looking for the SAR report. The SAR is the result of the FAFSA. You send the FAFSA into the government, FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. You send that into the government, they reply back with a SAR. And you turn that into a PDF and you upload it as part of your application. And since you're working with the government, there can, of course, be delays and everything, so start early on that process. You can be working on that right now.
There may be an other section. If there isn't an other section, be sure to find ways to kind of weave in your full picture. When we say full picture, I mean personal stories. You may not have been able to participate in after-school activities because you were working or you lived far away from school and you had to be on the bus at the end of the school day. Those are things we need to know. You might also have had financial or medical hardships in your family. There might be, 4 or 5 children in college ahead of you. Those kinds of things help us understand and paint your full picture. So don't be afraid, don't be shy. Add that information and find spots in which you can weave that information into your application.
Right. And get it in on time. Patty and I both have the same deadline of January 15th at 11:59 p.m. and that is a firm deadline. We do not accept applications after that. Every year on January 16th at 12:07 or 12:20 or whatever, I get an email from somebody that says, my computer crashed or the Wi-Fi went out or whatever. I couldn't submit it on time. And sorry. There's plenty of time now between now and the application deadline, so that deadline is firm. Get your application in on time. I would also like to suggest that you get it done earlier than that. Do it during winter break or do it before winter break so you can just kick back and relax and enjoy the rest of the year. Then come back after fall or winter break and there's all kinds of busyness, so get it done early. Super important.
And if we haven't convinced you yet about why scholarships are so important and why you should put the energy and time into applying for them, it is the best return on your investment of time to apply for scholarships. The Elworth Scholarship is a $20,000 scholarship. If it takes you 2 hours or even 4 hours of time to do a good job, to complete the application, and you get that congratulations letter next April, and you just made $10,000 per hour at the most, perhaps, and $5,000 per hour in the 4-hour gig to take and submit an application. So I can't emphasize enough, every scholarship opportunity you need to apply for. Small scholarships add up. If it's $50, $500, $1,000, apply for them. Usually their scholarship applications aren't as involved as David and my applications, but it's certainly worth your effort. And we suggest get your research in, get a list together of scholarship opportunities and apply for one a week.
I would say get on it. Set aside a time every single week, and every week, Saturday morning, I spend an hour doing scholarship work. There's plenty of scholarships out there in our northern Minnesota region or northern Wisconsin region, and it's out there for you. Cash in on all the different efforts and hard work that you've done during your time in high school or in college. Find that money and apply for it. How do you find it? Talk to your counselor regularly. Every counselor is getting emails and or letters and or forms in their inbox, and they distribute them out to their students. but you got to ask them for them. There's deadlines. Our deadlines are January 15th, but there are deadlines before ours. There's plenty of deadlines after ours, all the way through really when you graduate from college. So you can keep applying for scholarships all the way through the whole time and find that money. Check out other high schools' websites, whether it is your local school or the next town over school or the next state's over school. Lots of these different scholarships, lots of these different schools put the scholarship list out on their website. There's no reason that you can't go onto their website and find the list and figure out what you can apply for. The further you go from your school, the less likely there are going to be scholarships you can apply for. But the one that you can apply for and win, that money all spends the same way. So it's certainly worth your time. Regarding Google, not a big fan of searching for scholarships on Google. There's just too many of them, and it quickly becomes overwhelming, and the competition is different. So an example of that, Patty's Scholarship, $20,000, 60 or 70 people are going to win. 200 people apply. Odds of winning 1 in 3 or better. The McDonald's, the Coca-Cola Scholarship, kind of the same thing. $20,000 scholarship, 50, 60 people are going to win, but 200,000 people apply. Doesn't take a whole lot of brain power to understand that your efforts need to be directed to the local scholarships. Local people have dedicated local money to local students, and that's the point we're trying to make here. Put your effort into the local scholarships whenever possible.
Okay, so I think we're at the end here of our presentation. David Hammer and I, we are very, very passionate about helping students find money for school. And so we've got our websites listed, our emails listed. Any questions, whether you're applying for our scholarship or others, we'd be happy to answer them. We've got some general scholarship sessions coming up on the 25th. November, December 17th, and January 5th. And so we really want you to hop in those sessions and ask questions there too if you'd like, but we're available anytime before that. And you know, this is about you and your success and setting yourself up for success. You don't want to be the student who's in college having to worry about, gosh, how am I going to pay for my books? I may have to take a semester off. That is not even an option to go for, because the options here, regional and local scholarships, there are students who rake in significant chunks of change to help them pay for school. I can give you an example of a young gal from ESCO. She applied her senior year for 15 scholarships. She received 10 of them. One of them was the Elworth, and she had $80,000 in her hip pocket to help her pay for school. She worked the system. She went for the money, and it was well worth her efforts, because I'm quite confident she probably graduated with little to no debt. So that's the opportunity that's here for you, and we want each and every one of you to go for it. Go for the gold.
All right. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your time. Go for the money. There's lots of it out there, and you can get some of it.